Oh, hello. It's Dirty Trucking. I'm going to document apartments I've stayed in that I've had some sort of paranormal experience. Pretty much all of them I've had them in. And also highlight some key weird shit that was going on that I've been complaining about. So, this is one of my apartments I stayed in back around, I don't know, I want to say 2012, somewhere around that, but I was here for a little minute at this apartment. This apartment here, East Point Trust. I stayed up on the second floor. At this apartment, it's a lot of that weird shit I've been complaining on. They were going in my apartment here. I'm gonna highlight some key shit that was going on here at this apartment. But again, this is East Point Trust, located here on Jefferson and Holcomb in Detroit. It's one of the apartments I stayed in. So at this apartment, as far as the paranormal experience, laying in bed one day, I don't remember if I was asleep or how this transpired, but I remember lifting the covers and looking up under the cover, and I saw this ugly looking, like silver-like creature crawling up my damn stomach. Kid you not, true story. In that apartment there. And I remember pushing it, and then it was gone. I've also remember taking a shower, feeling a presence in my house. But at this time, I don't think that was a ghost, because after I got out the shower, I went to go put on a pair of pants that I know I had left some money in, and the money was gone. At that time, I now believe somebody had came in the apartment while I was in the shower, and that presence I was feeling was that motherfucker walking past the bathroom door. Also, at that this apartment, checks. The check had disappeared. There was mail games. I remember a high school classmate mailed me some CDs to this apartment. This is the weirdest shit I've ever seen for in my life. When I got them out the mailbox, I called them. I told them I got them. I said, but dang, this is an interesting wrapping. They were wrapped in some like white paper, printer paper. It was white printer paper. And somebody had put some stamps on there and then drew a line through the stamps with, I believe it was either a pencil or ink pen, to make it look like it had been processed through the post office. So I contacted the high school classmate who lives down in Texas, who was visiting me here at this apartment up here when he was here to visit his parents during the Christmas holiday. Or when he was up here, he would come visit me here. I called him about that, and I said, I got your CDs, but it's wrapped in printer paper. He told me that's not how he sent it. He said he sent it in a manila envelope. So I ended up calling the post office to find out about that. I'm like, how did it? But I remember the post office telling me they were going to do an investigation, but they weren't going to tell me. And see, a lot of that shit has been going on. You've been doing a lot of investigation, but you ain't telling me shit. Now, I just told you I got some mail sent from somebody who has verified this is not the packaging he sent it in. I reported it to the post office, the postal inspector. They told me they were going to do an investigation, but weren't going to tell me. You're going to do an investigation about some shit that just happened to me, but you wasn't going to tell me. I don't know who did it. If it was somebody in the building, who did it? So you're going to do an investigation and just not tell me shit after I told you what happened to me. That's what the post office told me at this very apartment. Also at this apartment, they were coming in this apartment. I remember it was time to re-sign the lease. And I had walked over. The leasing office is the next block over on the corner. And I walked over to the leasing office to go get the lease signed. And when I came home, I noticed that the guy, they signed it in scribble scrabble. You couldn't make out who signed the lease. I said, I need a legible signature. So I called him and walked back over there to go get a legible signature. And when I did and came back home, somebody had slipped in my apartment that quick and turned the AC on because it had central air here. Somebody had turned the AC on just that quick. So, to make a long story short, to highlight some more shit that happened here. Okay, the money came up missing out my pants pocket while I was in the shower. Oh, my cell phone disappeared. I had caught a cab or something home that day, and I came home, sat on the bed, and I know I had my phone. But when I went back in the room to go get my phone was gone. Somebody had slipped in the apartment and took my motherfucking cell phone off the bed. I was working for a trucking company here who was not up to date far as direct deposit, and you had to mail us checks. But check came up missing. And I kept calling them. I said, I didn't get the check. But that particular day, it was kind of strange. The mailman ended up running twice. I had checked the mailbox. The check wasn't there. The check disappeared. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and just tell the whole story. My shit disappeared out my room. That's where it was. The check disappeared out the room. Had it laying on the bed. When I went to go look in the envelope, wasn't no check there. So I ended up calling the job. It was mailed out. What happened to the check? Tell me why the check mysteriously ended up in the mailbox. Now, I had just checked the mail. I met the mailman, the check wasn't there. Now, this is a company that was dealing with old school. They mailed checks out. And that's why I didn't like this shit, because they would take checks. But I had a check come up missing out the bedroom. When I went back, I hadn't opened the envelope. No, I did open the envelope. I think I laid it on the bed, stepped out the room to go do something. And when I went back in there and looked in the envelope, wasn't no check. I'm like, what the fuck happened to the check? So I go down to the mailbox. Okay, ain't nothing there. And that particular day, the mail lady had ran twice for some reason. I don't know why. Now, I may not have the facts and details of that whole scenario kind of straight, but I used to have work check. They played a game with a work check of mine. It disappeared, and let's scratch all that and say just wind it down to it disappeared and reappeared. I used to have shit come up missing. So the final finale here, I had the leasing office come change the locks. The guy changed the locks, gave me both keys, told me I was up in here like Fort Knox, because their office didn't even have keys. Tell me why that night that the locks were changed. Because you know what? I wanted him to put a totally different lock on here. He ended up bringing a totally different lock that's not normal. The locks, everybody had that quick set lock. And when I went to Home Depot to inquire about that, they said it's either get master key or the same key to open doors. I said, well, maybe that's what it is. So he ended up putting a different lock on my apartment here at this apartment. Gave me both keys, told me you in here like Fort Knox, we don't even have a key. That night I was laying in the bed and somebody came to my front door. I didn't get up. I knew somebody was at the front door. I'm laying in the bed. All of a sudden I see my living room light up blue with a glow. Like somebody snapped a picture or something, like from a camera. It was a blue glow, it lit up, and it sounded like a camera. Because I'm laying there in the bed and I hear it. I said, so I ended up calling a friend of mine. I said, I think somebody just snapped a picture of my door. I think the individual snapped a picture of the new lock. Because it was a new lock, a different lock than what they have in this building. And I think somebody took a picture of it. Also, let me tell you about who drank the pop shit. I made videos long time ago about somebody that drank my pop in the apartment. This was the apartment. Was the apartment here at East Point Trust. I went downstairs in the basement to wash. Full bottle of pop. I think it was, I don't know if it was lemonade or what. I got to check back with that video. But it was a full bottle of pop. I only took 1 cup of pop out of it, drank out of it. It was still full. Tell me when I came back up from the laundry in the basement. Now I'm in the building. That pop was damn near gone. Somebody had drank it all up. Left me about a 1/4 of a bottle in there. That happened at this apartment. Now, I'm going to go to another apartment. I've had this weird shit that coming in the apartment. It's been happening at all the apartments. This is just one of them. This East Point Trust. I just told you a few things that happened here. So I'm going to do another one. I'm probably going to have to do these in a couple of parts because it's going to make the video too long. Okay, I'm going to pause this one and go to another one. There's the truck and I'm back. Okay, remember I mentioned to you about the leasing office. This right here, this is on the corner of Hibbert and Jefferson. This used to be the leasing office for the apartment building I just showed you. This is where I got that apartment at. I was staying in the shelter before I got in an apartment. I came here and was lucked up, able to get this apartment. And they ended up letting me move in a little early to get me out the shelter. She knew my situation. And I was living in the shelter to try to get the money up to get into an apartment. And right here at the East Point Trust, that's how I got in that apartment and got out of that shelter. The NSO, the worst shelter ever here in Detroit. But this is the leasing office that I walked to that day and came back to my apartment. Somebody slipped in that quick and then had turned on the AC. Right. The building right here is directly around the corner. It's the next block over from East Point Trust. This building, I left East Point Trust and moved here. This is the Hibbert. I moved here and I stayed here for a nice little minute. Here, the Hibbert is where I noticed. First, I'm gonna talk about my paranormal experience here. There's only one that stick out. Really was a concern of mine. My son had moved back with me. This was a 2-bedroom apartment, and I let him stay in the other bedroom. Now, I knew my son was in his room sleep, and I think it was during the summertime. It was warmer weather because I had the window up. Now, my son was in his room sleep, and I know he was. Tell me why I was laying in my bed, and I heard somebody outside the window down here on the side door, because there's a side door, calling up for me. He's saying, "Ma," I heard his voice. I heard my son's voice calling for me from outside downstairs at the side door where you come in on the side. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna walk to it so you can see. In this building, I stayed on the 2nd floor. 2nd floor apartment was mine. This building had my apartment had a fireplace. Here we go. Right here, this is the side door the main door to come in right here. And my bedroom was right up over this door, 2nd floor. I heard somebody in my son's voice calling for me, "Mom," from right here. Now, that was a paranormal experience. That was a concern. Because whatever that motherfucker was sounded just like my son. Wasn't nobody out there. Nobody was out there. My son was in his room. But this building, here, the Hibbert, is where documents came up missing. There was a letter that was given to me from a sister of mine that was sent to me from New York. The only letter from my brother, Percy Morgan, who the family, my father said, they said disappeared. He was on his way to somewhere and he disappeared. That's the story that was told to me. There was a letter sent to me from my sister. I have another sister. She's passed now. Stayed in New York. She sent me that letter. Only handwritten letter I had of Percy Morgan Jr. That was my father's son. The story told to me was that he was on his way somewhere and never made it. That was the story that she told me too. But I remember being in the basement of my father's house and seeing a military flag, the folded one, in a drawer. My father had my brother's, I'm getting off the subject right now, but my father has my brother's army trunk, chest, or whatever you want to call it, his cot, and his dog tags, and his Fort Knox book that he was in. My brother also attended Kettering High School, where I graduated from. I found that out looking up some high school books from years back. Percy Morgan Jr. Nobody ever found him, from what I was told. But I remember in the basement, I remember seeing the folded flag, like they fold at a military funeral and give to the deceased family. I saw that in my father's drawer. But my father never said he was dead. But this is a story that was told to me by the family, that he was on his way somewhere and never made it. My brother, Percy Morgan Jr., that's my father's son. My father was Percy Morgan. He was Percy Morgan Jr. Here is where I had that letter that she sent me. It was kept here in my closet like a lot of other documents that started disappearing. Here, family photos started disappearing. His letter disappeared. A lot of shit started disappearing. And I started noticing that shit here at this apartment at the Hibbert. Well, pause it. I got one more apartment building that I can get in this video for. It won't be too long. And this is going to be the strangest shit you ever heard. Stay tuned. I might as well get this apartment in. This is Alden Towers. This apartment I stayed in before I moved to my current apartment building. Now, I've had a paranormal experience in this apartment. I stayed in this apartment building once before, prior to me, years ago. I was in the B building. This is 4 buildings. They sit from Jefferson Street, which is this, all the way back to the water. I stayed in the B building at the time. Again, this is Alden Tower. This is on Jefferson, across on Parker. This is another apartment. All my apartments was pretty much on Jefferson. All of them that I've stayed on Jefferson, and all of them I've had a paranormal experience. But this is Alden Towers. The paranormal experience that I had here. I was in the B tower. I forgot what floor I stayed on, but I had an air mattress, and I would keep it in the living room, and I would sleep by the front door, cause in that area. And back then, I was still attending school, taking my criminal justice courses at ITT Tech, and I was laying on the air mattress, and I felt something. Now I'm supposed to be asleep now. And I felt something. It's like I was asleep, but I was woke. But my eyes were closed. I felt something sit down on the corner of the bed. I felt it sit down on the corner of the air mattress. And I remember reaching out to feel what that was. And I felt something with soft hair. I kid you not. Something with soft hair. Somebody with soft hair was sitting on the edge of the bed. Had sat down on the edge of the bed. And shortly after I reached out and felt that soft hair, something happened. I don't know. It wasn't the same. This had to be something else. Because whatever this was started choking me. And I don't think it was what I reached out and felt soft hair with. Something started choking me. And I could feel my eyes. It was like I was trying to open my eyes. My eyes was open. But all I saw was dark. I didn't see anything. It was just dark. I felt something choking me. I'm struggling with it. I'm trying to get it. I felt a pressure on me. Like it pressed down on me. And something was choking the hell out of me. And I remember I had my cell phone on the side of the air mattress. And I remember struggling and taking one arm trying to reach down on the side of the bed to get the phone to try to call something. And somehow the hold around my neck broke loose, the grip, and it was over. And then I woke up and opened my eyes up. There was nobody in the motherfucking apartment in the living room. Nobody. Nobody. And now when I think back to when that whatever that was that sat down on the edge of the bed and I reached out, I'm asleep. And I'm reaching out. I'm asleep, but I'm aware of what I'm doing. I felt a presence sit down on a corner of the bed. And I remember reaching out and touching the head, and it had soft hair. And to this day, I don't know who that was. I thought maybe it could have been my deceased father, because my father had soft hair. I don't know. But back then we had different management, and I know we had a management, it was like skinny guy here who had soft hair. He had soft type hair. But when I opened my eyes, nobody was in the room. But I remember feeling something sit down on the corner of the bed, and I'm aware, but I'm asleep. And I take my arm to reach out and touch the head, and it was soft hair. Alden Towers. This is the apartment where they were also taking shit and switching shit. The 1099s and they was coming in the apartment. This is the apartment where they went in the refrigerator with my famous video. They ate the potato salad. When I barbecued, this was the apartment I stayed at. They were coming in there eating the food. They were taking shit. They was doing a whole lot of shit here. And this is the apartment when I was at a trucking company in Indiana. And I had Ring camera here. And my Ring camera alerted me around 10 something at night that there was motion in my apartment. Now, I'm over in Indiana during orientation. This late at night filling out some paperwork for orientation. And there's movement in my apartment. But when I viewed the video, it was jet black. And the only way that camera could have recorded a jet black screen is that somebody had laid it down on the shelf it was on. Because I had a light fixture there that had black shelving. And that's why I don't like these security cameras don't work. This individual was able to reach in the door, move the camera and lay it down. And when he laid it down, whoever it was that did it, laid it down and triggered the camera and it recorded the shelf. Because it has night vision and there's enough lighting that comes through this building where it should have recorded the apartment or something. But they were always moving the camera. This is the apartment here. This is when at my previous apartment I had Xfinity, the Hibbert. I had Xfinity there. Xfinity at the Hibbert. They were cutting the Wi-Fi off there. And it would go off, it would go down when I would leave out to go out of town when I was doing my over-the-road trucking. It also went down when I was at home. I had Xfinity. Xfinity, they was to the point where I started thinking somebody's cutting this internet off. It's either somebody at Comcast, Xfinity, or somebody in this building that's where they can do that and cut it off. But they was cutting it off. But Alden Towers, also another apartment. They were going in my apartment. All that shit I've been complaining about. This is the apartment they ate the potato salad. They ate the food up out the fridge. This is apartment. All that shit I've been complaining about at apartment. This is another apartment. But I'm finna take you down to the final one. Before this video get too long. I got one more. All right, here's another apartment I stayed in. This is the Pasadena Apartments. And as you see, that says Jefferson. All these apartments are on Jefferson, up and down Jefferson. The Pasadena Apartments. Now, when I stayed here, I wasn't in trucking or thinking about going into the trucking, period. I was just working jobs, so I got enough money and was able to get in this apartment. I was still going through my homeless thing because of what Chrysler had done, and me and my son were still living in motels, and I lucked up and was able to get enough money to move into this apartment. And this is also the apartment I was in when I made a decision to start going to school to pursue the criminal justice degree. Off of something I saw on TV, and I said, this is it. And in this apartment, so when I came home one day and caught the maintenance man in the apartment fixing something, and nobody notified me. I didn't know anything was broke. He was just up in the apartment. I put the key in, opened the door, and there's his cart with his stuff on it. Oops. And also, in this apartment, I used to come home and go in the bathroom. Somebody had a nasty little habit of putting fresh chalking. You know that chalking they use to chalk the wall and all that? Somebody would come in there and slap some of it up top high in the wall. And it was fresh. Because I could take my finger and it was freshly put up there because it wasn't dry. This is also the apartment that I had a mouthwash. I had a mouthwash, and I kid you not, it's gonna sound disgusting. Had a mouthwash. And when I came home and used it, I swished the mouthwash around in my mouth, going like this. And I kid you not, the mouthwash suddenly tastes like somebody had jacked off in it. I kid you not. At this apartment, it tasted like somebody had jacked off in it in the mouthwash. That's what I was tasting at this apartment. Now, the paranormal experience here that I had, I'm in the room on an air mattress. Friend of mine, she the one introduced me to air mattresses. She worked with Smart with me. She came and assisted when I moved in here, and she had bought 2 air mattresses, one for me and one for my son. And that's how I got introduced to staying on air mattresses. Started like living on air mattresses. But I'm in the room, my room, and I'm asleep. And somebody mouth was so close to my ear. It whispered in my ear, I love you. But they mouth, I could feel a mouth at my ear. When I woke up, the air mattress went down. I was damn near almost on the floor. My son was staying with me, but he was sleeping in the front room on his air mattress. And I woke up, I asked my son, I said, did you come in the room and say I love you? He said, no. But somebody, and I still hear that voice in my ear today, somebody whispered in my ear, I love you. But when I woke up, there was nobody else in there. And my son said he didn't do it. I had a suspicion that they were coming in the apartment. Like I said, I used to come home and find chalking on there and caught the maintenance man up in there. I put the key in the door, he up in there, and no, I didn't even know. I just walked in on him. So I watched the MacGyver movie where he had put a bottle on the door handle. And to catch somebody, it would signal if somebody was coming in to wake them up. So I did that one day. I put a bottle on the door handle to see if somebody was coming at my door in the middle of the night. Because I had a suspicion they was. I had a feeling they were. I put a bottle on the door handle. Somebody turned the door handle and the bottle fell. Who it was, I don't know. But somebody turned the door handle and the bottle fell. All the apartments I stayed at, especially Alden Towers. Alden Towers, back when I stayed in the B building, this is the first time I stayed there. Ended up dating a guy. We were in the living room on the air mattress. And this guy just blurted out, he said, there's somebody at your front door. I said, what? Now he laying there. This guy was an FBI agent. That's what he told me. He said he used to work for the FBI. Ex-FBI agent. Guy had dated. Met him somewhere. I don't know if he was walking up and down Jefferson or at the bus stop there. But I met him here on Jefferson. He was laying there. We laying on the bed. And he just said, somebody's at your door. Because whoever it was smoking a cigarette because we smelled a cigarette smoke. Somebody's standing there outside my door. And I've had that's been going on at all these apartments. And he was there to witness it. He the one told me there was somebody outside the door. But neither one of us got up to go see who it was. We just laid there. It was just like he was just warning me, telling me. He said, there's somebody outside your door. And this is an FBI agent. And I keep telling y'all, I've been going through this shit for years. They were coming to my house. They were doing it in these apartments. And now, after I left Alden Towers and went down to this apartment, where I'm currently at now, they coming in the apartment. Very first night I slept there in the apartment. Paranormal experience. Got woken up to a feeling of a presence behind the couch. And whatever it was knocked over my jazz figurines. That's what woke me up when the jazz figurines tumbled over. But I'm laying there on the couch and had a feeling of a presence behind the couch. I'm kidding you not. Very first night I moved in that apartment. Then after that, this shit started back up. They're coming in the apartment. You switching canned goods, going through my shit. All that started this apartment too. Every apartment I've stayed in. This has happened everywhere I went. Everywhere. I kid you not. All true. This is Dirty Trucking, just documenting the paranormal experiences and some of the shit that was going on at these apartments that I stayed in. And where? True story. I can tell my own shit. Dirty Trucking out.